Hey everybody, this is Jerry Citarella with the video for today. And recently I've had a lot of conversations. I always have a lot of conversations, but it just seems like more recently about what has happened to people when a loved one has passed, or they're asking questions of me about what to do, transitioning. Sometimes the word transition is better than death. But at some point there is going to be a transition of your assets to someone else, or you're going to receive some assets as someone else transitions to you. So let's go over some of the basics of it. Not all the details, we can do more videos, but there's some general numbers, some general basic things that you probably need to know. The first question I get asked a lot is, what are death taxes and how much can I keep? And there's nothing really specific called death taxes, but what most people think about is either estate taxes, and they don't realize it, or probate costs. So let's talk about those two numbers. The good news is currently, as you transition, you can actually leave behind as much as $12 million, and the IRS takes no additional what we call estate tax. You may still pay federal tax on some things, and if you pass on an IRA, there may be some tax on that, but there's no estate tax, which is what typically used to be called inheritance tax. That used to be lower, it's gone up, we're expecting it to change again, but for now, 12 million, and that's a pretty big number that'll cover most people's estate. Now, the other number, which affects a lot more people, is probate cost. And probate is something that a lot of people don't think about because they say, well, I don't have enough money, I don't really need to do a trust, maybe I'll just do a will. We'll talk about that, but that's a different number. That number is $184,500. So if you pass on and you're going to transition assets, meaning you have assets in your estate, and they are above $184,500, you will have to go through probate to transition those assets, and that's something that your heirs, your beneficiaries, your children will have to take care of. Now, I'm not going to go through all the details, but the cost here is 4% of the first 100,000, 3% of the next, 2% above that, 1% of the next 9 million. So let's just say that the cost on average is going to be about 3%. So if you pass along a $1 million estate, the probate courts, and this is California based, the probate courts are going to take approximately $30,000 of your assets for the processing of giving them to the people who rightly deserve them anyway. So that's not really a tax, it's a cost. There may be some attorney's costs and some other costs. So the question really becomes, one, do you need to do anything? If you have an estate that's around there, definitely. If you have an estate above that, 100%. The one thing that's in here that affects a lot of people is real estate. And I have people that say, well, my house is worth $600, but I owe $450. It's not actually on the equity in the house, it's on the value of the house. So really, pretty much anybody in California that owns a home is going to have an estate above that size. So then the question becomes, is it a will or is it a trust that you need? And there's a lot of misconceptions about the two of these, which is which, what do they do? Again, this is a basic video. A will is pretty much just an instruction manual with you saying, this is who I want to have my stuff. It's well-intentioned, you get a witness, you get someone to notarize it, it should hold up. But if your estate is above this, it still goes to probate. That's a misconception. If you have a will that does not keep it out of probate, it honestly just makes their job a little easier because they don't have to think. They just read the will, process that, and charge you the same fee. Now, above a certain amount is where a trust comes into play. And that amount for me is really about the same amount. Because if you want to pass on assets and have no concerns that it's going to be questioned, no concerns that you're going to get a cousin you haven't met in years that comes out of the woodwork and says, he promised me his Corvette. If you want to make sure that it goes where it's supposed to go, avoids all cost, and transitions as quickly as possible, a trust does that for you. And a well-written trust you can get for somewhere between maybe $2,000 to $4,000, right around $3,000 is kind of the magic mark for the cost of that, as long as it's basic. So from a cost analysis, you can spend, let's just say $3,000 and have your assets transition exactly as you'd like. If you have young children, you can delay them getting funds till later. There's a lot of neat things you can do in it. So $3,000 or 3% of everything you have. It's one of the greatest investments you'll ever make, and it gives you the peace of mind knowing that your stuff is going where it's supposed to go. So, as I do this video, we're sneaking up on the holidays, Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's. This is the time where you'll be around family, and this is the time people start thinking about these things. So I know no one likes to plan for their demise, but it's going to happen. So let's make sure that we make it as clean, as easy, and as cost effective as possible for the people that we leave behind, our loved ones that we want to give our stuff to. So these are some of the numbers. Trust or will, I don't know. We can help you design whatever plan makes sense. We have attorneys that we have that we work with closely. If you don't have anything done, do something. If you have something done and you haven't looked at it in a while, maybe it's time to review it. So give us a call. Prosperitas Financial, 661-255-9555, and I'm at extension 111.